taking it over again.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for everyone who's joining us electronically. This is a regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Waverly in the great state of Iowa. Today is August 4th. It is 7 o'clock. This meeting is called to order. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Members of the council, our city clerk has some leave, and so Jen Johnson is sitting in. I anticipate you'll all be more nice to her than you were to your 7th grade substitute teachers. Ms. Johnson has prepared for you an agenda. It is in front of you. Can I have a motion to approve?
I'll move the agenda as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? I hear none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Jen, your first agenda was approved unanimously. Jen has also prepared for you a set of minutes from our July 21st meeting. They are in front of you. Can I have a motion to approve?
I move approval of the July 21st, 2025 regular meeting minutes.
Thank you.
Second.
Any discussion? Friends, as the voice vote, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That passed unanimously. Our guest council person has not arrived yet or is not here this week. We'll come back to that next time. So that brings us to now is the time for public comments on items that are not on the agenda. Does anyone rise to speak to the council? I see no one, so we'll move on to item G, the consent calendar. You have in front of you 3 actions. This will be a voice vote. Can I have a motion?
I'll move approval of the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? I hear none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That passed unanimously. Which brings us to what you've all been waiting for, item H, the Waverly Public Library Board of Trustees Annual Report to the City Council. Please come on up and identify yourselves.
Okay, I'm Sarah Meyer, and this is Deanna McHugh. Deanna is a library board member and president of our Library Foundation. And we also have Erin Jones, another library board member, in the room. So we have a presentation tonight that kind of covers our operating, just our annual activities, and then also a wrap-up on the building project. So we'll move through these slides pretty quickly. As you are aware, I made a chart here to show what our actual budget has done. So this is end of fiscal year actual numbers that were spent from 21-22 to 24-25. And 24-25, which is the fiscal year we just finished, was the year that we were asked to cut $150,000. We worked together and were able to move a concrete project, so the number was actually $130,000 that we needed to find. And in a budget that is 2/3 to 3/4 personnel, like ours is, most of that had to come from personnel, but we were able to find, it was lucky that the timing worked as it did, because one of our librarians had been watching ILS systems, integrated library systems, for a while. We knew that our Cersei system was expensive. We had been with them for many years, but they were kind of the only one in their field, and we had found one that was a newer company, was a lot cheaper, decided to make the move so that we could save, on a yearly basis, we'll save what would be in the ballpark of $20,000 a year just in contracts. There's such a huge difference in cost between those companies. So we were able to reallocate some of those funds from services and commodities back to personnel to make up a little bit for the part-time hours that we had lost. We're still in 25, 26 now that we've started. We're still down about a half an FTE in a part-time librarian, but have been able to bring back some of the other part-time hours. Let's see, so these are numbers that are just traffic in and out of the library. I mean, we're only counting people once, but we're looking at averages, monthly averages for the year. So you'll see in 2023, we had close to 8,000 people per month. Keep in mind that the building was under construction between November of '23 and October of '24, so almost a full year. So that's why our '24 monthly average dips down to 5,700, which when you think about the small amount of library space that was available, that's still a pretty decent number. And right now in 2025, these would just be since January numbers. You can see that our average is getting close to where the '23 average was. A few things have changed since then, though. We've had the schools move around, so we don't have West Cedar there anymore. And partly because of that, our bookmobile has been going out to the schools about every other month. So the school class visits that we would have come in, say from just West Cedar, for instance, every month, that will change the traffic a little bit. So, but we're still hoping that we can get back up to those 23 numbers. And you'll notice in the small print there that we were back up almost to 10,000 at the beginning of our summer reading program. So the traffic has been good, has been strong. As far as the summer reading program goes, we had a great summer of activities. June and July were really full. We've just wrapped up now with everything, but there were activities for kids and teens and adults. These numbers here are the numbers that registered for the reading program on Beanstack, which is our app that will help you track your reading if you want to do it that way. So these are good, strong numbers. 347 kids, 157 teens is a really good number for teens. These numbers do not include, this year we added a punch card for those who didn't want to use the app. We got some feedback from some parents saying it was just too much to keep track of all that, especially if they have more than one child, and keeping track of all that on the app got a little hectic, so we offered the punch card. So there was another 300 of those. We don't know how much overlap there is there, but we felt good about those numbers. And one of our programs was a Pokemon program that was really popular, and there were 62 participants that registered on the Beanstack app for that. To talk about our literacy programs for just a second, we've talked a lot, I know, here about Reach Out and Read, which is the program where we provide books for the physicians who are having well baby visits with their little people, and they hand out a book at each well baby visit. And that program is backed by a lot of research that says that this is beneficial to those kids getting ready to read, and it's beneficial for the parents in actually following through and reading with their kids. There were approximately 2,600 books that we distributed to clinics this year, and they call us right away when they're getting low so that we can run them out another box. That program was one that we had in the operating budget prior to the cut, but now it's funded through community organizations that have kind of picked up to keep that funded. I know the Kiwanis group was one group, so that's been really wonderful. The Read to Go program is a newer program. It's been going on for just a couple years now with the WSR 7th and 8th graders. It's a reading incentive program where if a kid stays on track with the goals, they get to go on field trips. And the field trips are always to really fun places like Kinnick Stadium, or they went to the UNI campus. They went to, what's the playland with all the trampolines in Waterloo? But things that the kids really like to do. And they always get to eat on these trips, and the numbers do dwindle lower towards the end of the year, but the goal is still there, and they really push for that. I feel like I was going to say one more thing about that.
What are the book talks?
That's simply when one of the librarians brings in new books that we've gotten and says, hey, this one's about a kid who goes to summer camp and finds his soulmate, you know.
Sort of like reading Rainbow?
It's kind of just a quick description of a book to get somebody interested, and hopefully they'll come and check a lot of them out and find something they're excited to read.
So are those in person, or do they do a little video about it?
Emily and Trevor spend a lot of time over at the junior high during these events, and take some of our books over to talk about. Yeah. All right, we've had the bookmobile for about 20 months now. We've been able to make stops at a lot of different places. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, we made more than 40 stops in this past fiscal year, and there were, it seems like the number was about 1,400 people that had come aboard during that time. So you'll see on our list there that we've visited Bartles and the Senior Center and the schools, all the schools in town, 15 different home daycares, and then a number of community events. I went with one of our librarians, Heidi, to the last municipal band concert, and we were just really pleasantly surprised that she counted 45 that came on and looked for things, and some people were just interested to see what it was, others checked out, but it was busy while we were there, so it was very fun. The gardens, I think we've got a gardens picture there. Our fish are doing well, the gardens are beautiful, lots of people going through. The gardens were an inspiration for a number of art classes this summer, so we had teens out there taking pictures for their photography class. There were art classes, but that's just a really beautiful place. Library benchmarking. So we've been doing more of this to kind of gear ourselves up for planning, in addition to just looking at where we're at salary-wise with other libraries. The state library has us in a size category F. We just moved into size category F. That ranges from 10,000 to 25,000. But it is really interesting when you compare all the data that the state collects, that our collection, physical and digital, is right up there with, in fact, more than what Cedar Falls and Waterloo each have in their collections. And we calculate a peer average. So in that size F library, what is the average circulation? And ours is above average in that group. So in a lot of ways, we really compete, if you will. We talk about wireless sessions and our technology time. We count the number of uses that our computers get in-house, and it's a lot compared to some of the other libraries. And we have a lot more computers now, so that's been really helpful. The wireless sessions, we think our number is a really accurate number because not a whole lot of other places make you click on an agree statement for entering our network, to agreeing to our policy. So we're thinking that some of those other wireless stats from other libraries are probably reflecting how people's phones automatically connect to an open Wi-Fi network when they come in sometimes, but our wireless numbers are lower. As far as programming, that's really our standout feature, is that we've got over 30,000 attendees in an average year at all the programming we do, all combined. So that is really right up there with the biggest libraries in the state.
Did you say 30,000?
30,000, yeah.
There are only 10,300 citizens.
Well, and some of those could be a repeat.
Repeats,
We
yeah.
count the people at each program.
Yeah.
So certainly there's some overlap
I mean,
there.
I'm just saying, that's really good.
Yeah, it is. Yep. So our strategic plan that we did in 2018-19 was the plan that really led us into our facilities master plan, which brought us right into our renovation and made the transition very smooth from planning into working with the architect. And it's now time for us to do a new plan, and the board is discussing that. We've been discussing that for the last couple of months, and we'll be making a decision on a consultant soon. We've been gathering some proposals from consultants, but we think it's time, it is a good time for a new plan, because a lot of things have changed since 18-19, which was obviously pre-COVID, and we're through our building renovation now, so we have a lot more opportunities. Things are changing with AI and the internet, I mean, just at a crazy rate, and so we're really looking forward to that new planning opportunity. This just tells you what we have as far as staff right now. We're just under 11 in FTEs, full-time equivalents. So we're at 10.8 FTEs. That would be myself as the director, 5 full-time librarians, and then 5 more full-time equivalents if you add everyone else into that group. So it would be shelvers, and I think we do count our building supervisor, our quarter-time building supervisor in there, and janitorial and gardener. And we have 9 people on our library board. Very dedicated group of people. In fact, well, you had Mayor Anderson presented Linda Podasky with a certificate this year after she had to resign from the board due to health reasons, and she had been on the board since 1986, and she wasn't the longest running one on the board. So that's Miss Blake. Miss Blake is still there. We have a number of support organizations. We're very fortunate. Our Friends of the Library group has been around since the 1970s, and they raise money through memberships to their organization. All of this we plan to clarify going forward, working together with the foundation to help people understand the difference between the Friends group and the foundation. But this is our Friends of the Library board. They're the ones that sell the used books in the book sale room. They make great money every month on that project. They have their memberships, and they support a lot of our programming. Then we've got the foundation, which was established originally with some estate gifts that came at the end of our 1998 building project. and that has grown over the years. There's a portion of the foundation that is an endowment fund within the Community Foundation of Northeast Iowa. But this is the organization that really drove the building renovation, and the whole capital campaign came out of the foundation. So you can see on this slide, we've got the library as a branch of the city government, and both our foundation and our Friends group there as support organizations. So I will turn it over to Deanna, who's going to do a quick wrap-up on our building project.
Thank you. We'll let Sarah get situated and get us to the first slide. Perfect. So just a quick kind of recap to remember everything that's happened. We started thinking about this, the library board, back in the 2018-2019 fiscal year, as Sarah said. And we worked with a national consulting firm, gathered tons of input from patrons across the community, did a lot of surveys, and that led to the architectural master plan and ultimately the renovation project that we called Make Room for Renewal, since it had been over 25 years since the building had originally been built. Our fundraising started late in 2022, and then construction kicked off in 2023 and concluded a year later, essentially in November of 2024. We had our public reopening event on November 16th. And now in the subsequent months, we've been finishing up little lingering construction things, and we've been receiving our final CAT payments, and those have all concluded now, so we're officially wrapping up the campaign, and so time for a review of results back with all of you. As just a reminder, we kind of focused the project and said we really have needs across 4 different groups. We've got children that need more space. We need more room for teens. They were outgrowing the areas that they had. More room for the needs of adults, and then across the community at large. So we really structured the project that way. And our vision was to renew the community space so it continued its long tradition of serving the needs of everyone in the Waverly and the surrounding area. And if you recall, as we click through each of these, we started by expanding the children's area and building that story tree sculpture. Then we enclosed the southwest patio and turned that into the teen, tech, and youth lounge. And then on the opposite corner, we revamped the northwest conference room and surrounding area into an adult space. And then all the rest of the building was renovated and refurbished. So it was a complete, comprehensive project. So we'll kind of step through, and you can see current pictures from most of these are during summer reading program of the new library in action. So first, for children, as we said, we built the artist constructed the story tree, and that also expanded the children's area and added that sculpture. And I don't know if you've been in there, but there's little animals to find in the branches. There's little peepholes into the trunk to see little scenes happening. So it's really an imaginative place for kids, and they love it. There's tiered seating around the tree, so there's a lot more opportunity for participation and visibility for kids during story time. There's new play areas and new toys that appeal to kids of all ages. I don't know if these are all a family, but they're all building some sort of a major wall there. We created a new baby and toddler ring, which really allows some flexibility for little ones to be safe in that play space while caregivers standing around and keeping an eye on things. And really, the new spaces allow a lot of things to be going on all at once. So here you see a whole bunch of different activities and different play areas and tables and bookshelves. So it really allows a lot of things to go on at the same time. All new bookshelves for the young kids, so those are face out, as they describe them. That way kids can explore and kind of browse through the bookshelves themselves. That one-of-a-kind story tree is really a focal point the minute you walk in the library. And then some other creative features like the color light bright wall that kids can play with and explore. All of the new furniture and play areas and storage really give a lot more flexibility to how that children's space can be used, both for kids and caregivers and staff. And the bottom line is more children now can grow up loving the library. So a lot of exciting things for kids. The second thing, of course, a big part was the addition of the new teen room. So we enclosed that patio and created the Teen Tech and Youth Lounge. That was about a 1,200 square feet addition to the building. There's the technology space with a lot more computer stations. There's the lounge area for games and collaborative work. And then there's the glass garage door that comes down and can keep the noise in, but also allow librarians to keep an eye on things as well and maintain those sight lines. So the bottom line here is teens now have that community space to call their own. And I don't know, what'd you say, Sarah? This was some kind of a challenge to see if they could do their games upside down. So it obviously gets used in unique ways. Third, of course, was the adult space. We renovated that northwest corner, so it was a quiet reading area that the adults had really been asking for. And some of the nearby areas give kind of cozy reading nooks and different kinds of furniture for the adults to use. There's some of those little kind of cubicles for people who are doing remote work. They can have some sound protection and have their laptop there in front of them. So lots of different options. Different comfortable seating booths now in front of the windows and bistro tables. And we see those get a lot of use. So it really, lots of different options. The meeting rooms were also all renovated with new technology, soundproofing. And here you see the Keep On Learning program that had been moved from Wartburg to the library and has had huge attendance at a number of those programs in the meeting room. So that's worked out well. Adults no longer have to compete for time on the computers like they did before. Now that we've got the teen computers in their room, that really helps. And the bottom line is adults have space now to meet their own unique needs. And then lastly, number 4, just generally renovating the entire library so it continues to be that true community center. And you'll see a lot of the various kind of miscellaneous things, the new seating by the gardens, lowered shelving so that's more accessible, new spaces for games, the dual-sided fireplace, completely renovated restrooms. Then we also had the completely renovated lobby, so there's more usable space, the expanded Friends book room, new renovated and new study rooms. The service desks were all renovated so that we maximized more kind of space for the public and less space for just the staff, but it also much more easily accessible for the staff to work with the public. And then more PC stations, like we said, for all ages. We also did some roof repairs and some updates to the exterior finishes. We refinished that historic Andrew Carnegie furniture from the very original library, so that's all still in use. Renovated the drive-through, updates to the meeting rooms, like I said, with soundproofing, and then put in some unique donor signage, a little bookshelf wall and throughout the building to honor all of the generous gifts that we received. So we even had a new rare book display in the library, and that was incorporated into a summer reading program where the kids had to investigate some trouble. I believe Sarah was even involved in that. And so bottom line there, we've got a complete renovation to the space, and it becomes vibrant for the next 25 years and continues to be that free community place for everyone in Waverly and the surrounding area. So just a few of the numbers in terms of the project costs. When I originally came back here to present to the council for the first time, we had an estimate from our architects for $2.4 million for the project. And by the time we got fundraising and got all the planning ready to go, we'd had a lot of increased costs. And we asked the architects for an update. They came back with $3 million, and we went, but we kind of looked around and we ended up settling after the construction bids came in on $2.9 million as our estimate for the project. And you can see there the actual project cost came in at $2.925. So we ended up being very close on that. In terms of how we raised the money, again, when I was here originally, we were thinking about $700,000 and making that request of the council. And then another $700,000 in donations, $700,000 from the foundation or up to that amount, and then $300,000 in grants was our expectation. But we really had a wonderful, wonderful support from the public. You can see there we had 1.129 in terms of public gifts, and we still have some pledges that are being made. We had the $700,000 from the city, and we ended up having very good luck with grants as well, including a large CAT grant. That was a huge bonus for us, so that was about $583,000 in grants. And we ended up having some state of Iowa technology grants and things that we could tap into for that $83,000. So we didn't end up needing as much to be pulled from the foundation. And just a reminder, foundation dollars are gifts that have been given in the past from the public and are being held and managed by the foundation board right now. So it all ended up working out really well, and we were so pleased with the support that we got from the community. It was tremendous. In terms of the timeline, that's where we ended up having delays as a result of supply chain issues, and then we had some issues with the electrical subcontractors, and we worked through those, but that delayed us a number of months, and we had to push the timeline back. We were hoping to be done in the summer of last year, and that obviously got pushed into the late fall. But our contingency funds that we had held aside were enough to keep covering those items that ended up increasing in costs as a result of that delay. So, 25 years after the building opened, the renewed library has reopened, and really a new chapter is beginning now for the library. And just want to say tremendous thanks to all of our generous donors. Truly, what a community effort. Gifts of so many different sizes that were all so important to the project. The board members, as Sarah said, we've got wonderful board members that have been so supportive. The staff, absolutely tremendous staff, great vendor partners to work with, and just calling out Huff Contracting and Studio Melee as our architect. Just tremendous to work with and made the project go very, very smoothly. And of course, all of our community partners here in Waverly, which is a great segue to just say thanks to all of you. I mean, it really was that initial presentation to you guys and the $700,000 that you allocated to the project. It was absolutely critical to its success. So again, I say thanks to all of you. And then just, are there any other questions? Hearing none, then I'll just say, drive over anytime and see the renewal. This is actually from a summer reading program where the kids build cars out of boxes and learn what going to the drive-in theater is all about. So please come over anytime. As Sarah shared, there's always a lot of amazing things going on at the library. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are you ready to move on? Item 2. This is Resolution 25-105, a resolution of support of the City of Plainfield to propose the question to change the use of local option sales and services tax proceeds at the November 4, 2025 election. Do I have a motion?
I'll move approval of Resolution 25-105, a resolution of support for the calling of an election on November 4th, 2025, or as soon thereafter as is possible, on the question of changing the use of local option sales and services tax proceeds in and for the City of Plainfield, Iowa.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I don't understand why Plainfield has to come to Waverly.
Because they're in the county.
State code says they have to have over half the population approving. We would have to do the same thing if we weren't as big as we were, and we've had the county approve as well, so that it has to go. But it's listed as 423B, 4B, whatever that is. But it's got to be half the population has to support it in order for it to make the ballot with the county. So that's why.
Yeah, I had to read through this thing 4 or 5 times too before I could figure out why they needed us involved in this. But yet it does say that motions requesting the submission be adopted by the governing body or bodies representing at least 1/2 of the population of the county, which would,
Well, it doesn't say why we have to do that, but it says we have to do
we
it.
just have to.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose we could say, no, we don't want it, and then
But
they
I mean,
can't, then they
yeah.
couldn't change it, but there's no reason to do that. I
Right,
mean,
right.
it's they decide they want to change what they're using the tax for, that's fine with me. I don't think it would have a major negative effect on Waverly.
No, I had a very nice conversation with Mayor Geis over at Plainfield, who's also a good friend, and this is important to him. This is a nice thing we can do for our neighbors.
So basically, they're just hoping to change what they can use lost for.
Yep, they want to purchase some equipment. It's not clear that the way their code is written, equipment counts. They just want to clarify that.
Kind of like we did when we changed, when we had the resolution to make sure that we could use the lost funds for the swimming pool. Even though it looked like we could, we wanted to make sure that it specifically stated we could, so.
Any more discussion? Are you ready to vote? Ms. Johnson, a roll call vote, please.
Drinkow?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Hengis?
Yes.
Rothy?
Yes.
Wolf?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
That passed unanimously, taking us to item 3, Resolution 25-106. This is a resolution approving change order number 2 for the Waverly Aquatic Center. Can I have a motion?
I would move approval of Resolution 25-106, a resolution approving change order number 2 for a deduction amount of $109,533 from Woodruff Construction for the Waverly Aquatic Center.
Second.
This could be quite popular, I think.
Yeah.
Any discussion?
I just kind of want to stand up and wave my arms and say, hey, look, we're spending less money than we thought we were going to.
Yeah.
Will everybody please take notice?
It's early.
It's early. The only other thing is just as far as long-term usability, sustainability on the structure, this isn't going to have any impact on that.
No, this was, These are more or less
value engineering, different processes, different materials that can be used instead. You know, when you go in with an architect and think, okay, this is what I want to do, and they spec out a bunch of things that, you know, we're not architects. When we get a contractor on board, they have a different way of doing it, different way of looking at it, and we've identified a bunch of different things that can be replaced with almost the exact same thing, different pricing, different vendors. They have their own custom vendors, so they have to speculate on what it's going to be for the market. These guys have different relationships with different places that can get better quality and better pricing, and so it helps to start this way. We may eat it all back up again later, but at least we're starting to bring down that cost initially by changing out some things that we didn't think were necessary, so.
And does the contractor typically instigate that? Or do you all
It was a
instigate
little
that?
both. We had some things we questioned as to why, things that we removed that didn't make sense at the time. Once you start to really dig into the plans itself, and they were able to offer some different solutions, having built a lot of pools themselves, and so together it was kind of chipping away at this, and that's what got the deductions.
Good. They're digging a hole out there today, so that's good.
Any more discussion? Ms. Johnson, let's have a roll call vote.
Jones?
Yes.
Kangas?
Yes.
Rothy?
Yes.
Wolf?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Drinkow?
Yes.
That passed unanimously, which will turn us to Resolution 25107. Now, this is a resolution repealing Resolution 25101, a resolution approving a plat of survey for Parcel LL, currently part of 933 16th Street Southwest, Waverly, Iowa. May I have a motion?
I move to repeal Resolution 25-101 in its entirety and approve and adopt in its place Resolution 25-107, a resolution approving a plat of survey for Parcel LL, currently part of 933 16th Street Southwest, Waverly, Iowa.
Second.
Thank you. I believe this is just correcting a clerical error.
There was an access point listed that had the wrong address, and we did not just simply want to call it a scrivener's error because it was fully approved by council by resolution. So we thought the cleanest way would be to repeal it and resend it, and then go ahead and have the actual corrected address come before you as well. So it was 1300, should have been 1400 10th Avenue.
Any more discussion? Ms. Johnson, let's have a roll call vote.
Kangas?
Yes.
Rothy?
Yes.
Wolf?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Drinkow?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
That passed unanimously, which brings us to item 5, approval of a mayoral appointment. Can I have a motion?
I would move the mayoral appointment of Deborah Turnbull to be appointed to the Historic Preservation Commission to fill a vacancy for a term ending June 30th, 2028.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I noticed she put down that she had a conflict of interest. but
Everyone
didn't-
does that.
Is it, they just don't understand what
Yeah.
that means? Okay.
It's,
All right, that's what I figured.
yep. Any other discussion? You appear ready to vote. This is a voice vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That passed unanimously. Now you have in front of you reports from Leisure Services Commission and the Municipal Golf Course Commission. Do you have any questions or comments on those? Okay, we only have one member of the staff here today. If Officer Corey has anything to say, now's the time. Okay.
Library has said enough, so. No, I just got a brief statement I got from Justin on kind of the cleanup, how everything's been going, so I just wanted to run through it quick. They went curbside collecting storm debris on Wednesday. That was finished today finally. But if there's still debris that was missed, call Public Services, they'll try and get back out and kind of pick that up. They've hit most of the streets and sidewalks. They've transitioned to parks and cemetery today, which cemetery had a lot of damage. They're hoping to get the rail trail started tomorrow and get further on that than where we've been able to get to, because there was quite a bit there as well. So, so far so good. It's a pretty good hill out there at the recycling center if you haven't been out there.
Yes, yeah.
All the mulch was gone for the fair, and we'll be replacing it with all the trees that went down there, so it never seems to go away fully. But so that's where we sit on storm clearing up, and hopefully that's the last one for a while. But that's all we have tonight, sir.
Thank you. That takes us to City Council comments, which of course will take us to Councilperson Jones.
Just enjoy this beautiful weather.
Thank you. Councilperson Myers.
Just a couple things. I wanted to say kudos to city staff for all the hard work since the storms last week. I think they have just done an amazing job, and I think our community as a whole really pulled together and worked hard to get things cleaned up. And secondly, kudos to everyone that was involved in pulling off the first fair at the new fairgrounds. And certainly not without challenges with the weather, but they did an amazing job having a great event, and really thankful that we have that.
Thank you. Councilperson Kangas.
I would just echo that, both those sentiments. That thank you to the staff for the work they do and keeping things going, and the fair for, you know, the move, the construction that they got done for now, and how the seat's gonna grow. And it'd be fun to see that grow. And, yeah.
Councilperson Drinker.
I was just thinking when James was mentioning the cleanup work on the rail trail, how fortunate we are to have all of those new bridges up and running, or we would have a real difficult time trying to clear out. And I don't know how much brush there is on the trail, but I assume it's a fairly significant amount. Being able to get in there with heavier equipment and remove that is going to make the trail available much quicker. So that was a good investment.
Good observation. Councilperson Rothy.
Yeah, I'll just echo that. I was out on the rail trail the morning after one of the storms about 7 a.m. and ran into the leisure services crew, Paul, and his gang out there trying to clear away a giant tree. So, and, you know, neighbors were helping each other, and I think it was really reassuring for citizens to see the staff out and about, to answer questions, and, you know, it could have been worse, but it was bad enough. So I appreciate all the staff's effort.
Councilperson Wolf.
Basically the same thing. It was great to see all the Waverly trucks and vehicles out and about helping folks in the midst of it.
Mayor's comments. During the storms and the aftermath, city leadership got very regular communication from Mid-American Energy. Now, they're obviously a very big company and carry a lot of towns, but at one point they had 34,000 customers without power. And if you look at our friends over in Shell Rock, they were without power, some of them for 2 days. So of course I called over to Waverly Utilities to get an update on our own stuff. One house was without power for less than an hour. So I asked Kurt, you know, how could this be? You know, how's this even possible? He said there are two things. 63% of our lines are already buried underground, so if a tree falls, it's obviously not going to hit it. And 2.5 months out of the year, in the winter when there's less line work to do, the line folks do tree trimming, and they cut the branches away from where the lines are, so that we are well prepared for this kind of disaster. And that's exactly why we were able to avoid all of that. And some of the folks from utilities then worked over for Public Works for a day to help with the cleanup. So we had extra people working on that. So I think it's not, it'd be a shame not to mention what a great job utilities did and is doing. The workers obviously are great, and the leadership over there has put us in a good position. So kudos to them as well. That being said, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
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 And opposed? This meeting is adjourned.